Mic two, mic two, mic anybody.
Okay, camera rolling.
Action. Hello, my dear folks. Welcome to the East-West Show, exclusively sponsored by Paul Batanley and the internationally renowned Men's Style for the brand name that represents culture, tradition, workmanship, and everything, even fabric work and technology. And I today put some Thanksgiving color on myself, and of course, it's in Paul Batanley, right? So, Paul, thank you very much for sponsoring. Back to the show. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, ever since Donald Trump won the election and the president-elect has been the focus, especially his 100-day plan has been the focus to this show for twice already. Today, we're doing the third show talking about his 100-day plan. Me, myself, I found it is such a plan that the more you go into length, the more profoundly you found out. I would conclude that at least, if not Donald Trump, the team is serious, is very serious. And once again, we named the show, Let's Get Serious, and this is number 3. Joining me in the number 3 discussion is still my good friend, Ken Hemming. Ken, I know him as a friend for so many years, but I adore him more for being a philosopher kind of political commentator that makes lots of sense. Most of the time, I do not necessarily agree with his GOP take, yet at this specific moment, though, it doesn't hurt anybody if we sit down and get serious to share some of his thoughts about his 100-day plan.
Yes.
And plus, some of the plans I do agree.
I hope so.
Even though there are some I do not agree, right? Okay. So to my friend Ken Hemming, welcome to the show.
And you know how much I love being with you, and particularly your viewers, Jack. And it doesn't get better for me than to be here with you guys.
Can you believe another year have passed already?
Yeah, I can't believe how fast I'm aging.
Yeah, I recall that day when we were doing the EDI Thanksgiving dinner, a party, right?
Yeah.
And you guys were on stage,
right?
We were recognized.
Yes, that was nice.
For your contribution to the community, for you supporting us. Together we promote peace and uplifting lifestyle.
Yes, very much.
And now we're doing it again.
And hopefully we'll do it next year.
Of course.
Yes.
Not hopefully, absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, good. We pick up where we started, where we stopped last time, which is on page number 3, which is talking about his 7 actions to protect American workers. Okay, in this group, his first, we touched a little bit about it, but it was exactly at the closing moment we touched it.
Okay.
And we did it in a hurry.
Yes, sir.
So today we want to take our time, meander on with these issues to see more.
See greater depth.
Okay, now, question. She says in this group that I will announce my intentions to renegotiate NAFTA or withdraw from the deal under Article 2205.
Yes.
And your comment on that, please?
Well, just for your viewers' information, NAFTA is a free trade agreement between Canada, America, and Mexico. In Mr. Trump's philosophy, his perception of it is that it's not really designed to be an even playing field where we get the same benefits as Mexico and Canada. So he thinks that it's disadvantageous for America. Now, I am not an expert on that agreement. I haven't read it, so I don't have a position, but I do believe the people that have studied it and read it probably have a foundation for this conclusion. And I don't think it's, I think that, Canada and Mexico and America, we all touch each other. We're on the same continent, and we're friends, okay? And so whatever adjustments will be made, I don't think will disturb dramatically at all the flow of goods between the countries, but it will perhaps give us a little more profitability on our participation.
That I do not find myself 100% agree with him on this one. NAFTA stands for North America Free Trade Agreement.
Right.
Right? Now, free trade for North America.
Right.
Not only do we need not to withdraw from it, but also, to my understanding, it is about time to create something like a SAFTA with an S, South America Free Trade Agreement. So, and that was exactly last time you and I talked about the visit by Xi Jinping.
Right.
With that lead,
right.
we look into the market of South America.
Correct.
Right? It's time we open it rather than close it, right?
Well,
and then when you talk about this action versus Donald Trump's call to withdraw from NAFTA, it sounds going 180 degrees.
Well, he's not withdrawing from trade. We're withdrawing from the
treaty
regulations related to this agreement that seem to be not in our favor. Now, we can't have everything in our favor, but we like it to be an even playing field, and that's his position. Now, and right now, I think you'd agree that, we're competing with China for access. We have a lot of trade with South America, and China's trying to get certain of their resources and different investments in that area also. And
China is happy with it. They're okay with it.
Well,
the whole world is competition.
Right. The whole world's competition.
Right. So
and there's fair competition and unfair competition. So there's two levels of competition, and it's how you perceive the activities of each country in terms of trade.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm talking about to make it a fair competition. Why doesn't the United States go ahead to push for a SAFTA in addition to NAFTA, rather than trying to call for a withdrawal from NAFTA? Which is on 100 degrees.
Well, the withdrawal from NAFTA just means it will be drafted in a different format that Mr. Trump thinks is more advantageous for America.
Why would
it's
he
not
say,
a withdrawal?
Why would
from
he
trade.
say we would rewrite the agreement of NAFTA?
Yeah.
Right, rather than withdraw from NAFTA, and there is a different concept. Totally different. Do you think so?
He thinks our country has been very poor at negotiating agreements, and I agree with that. I think the last 8 years under the current administration has been more submissive rather than positive and strong.
With NATO, maybe?
Well, with NATO, with the Iran deal, which I think is absolutely insane.
With NATO, maybe. With Iran, maybe. With NAFTA, I don't
know enough to have a firm thing, but I have to trust the mindset.
It's a free trade agreement. Free trade agreement, right?
But it's not free.
Canada, United States, and Mexico, the three countries.
Correct.
Three major North American countries.
Right.
Right. So for them to forget tariff, charging tariff of each other, okay? We do XYZ numbers of exchange, right? You put $2 zillion into my market, I do the same to you, and let's forget tariff. That's what they do.
Well, Mr. Trump's position is that it has been disadvantageous to the American workers and more advantageous to other workers in Canada and Mexico. And so he wants a more level play. And I am a supporter of America First, and that we need to reestablish our strength because we have been the strongest country that really assures peace in the world in a more complete way. And I want to get back to that. Our military is so weak right now.
And of course, when you talk about being fair and not being fair, you simply talking about as a concept, this whole thing brings everybody to equal, to zero balance, equal.
To a
something
fair
like that,
play,
right?
a level playing field.
Now, in practice, in common practice, there is always a opportunity or a chance.
Sure.
When, for example, when Mexico puts more into our market and we do less, and then we lift off our tariffs more than they do to us. To that extent, it's not unfair. It's not fair. So a rewrite is always necessary. That you have to go certain numbers, for example, right? For the exchange, you are not supposed to go below 75%. For the exchange of trade. Other than that, we still have to tariff you, right? So that makes sense rather than withdraw. That's the part that I disagree.
Yeah, and that's fine. I accept your disagreement. What I think is that sometimes you have to do something dramatic to get modifications implemented. Because if the agreement stands as it is, Mexico and Canada probably will not want to make adjustments to that agreement. So you go back to the drawing board. It takes a dramatic withdrawal sometimes to get their attention.
And also, the other side of the story is that you have two more sides to hear about.
The Canadian and Mexican side.
We haven't heard how the Canadians would say, and we haven't heard about how Mexicans would say.
Well, I've heard on TV, you know, that it's not a very a well-received intention on Mr. Trump, but I think we'll find out on the first day that he means what he says, his first day in office.
And also the status quo, are we, for example, importing more from Canada than we export to Canada? And the other big picture, the other picture is that, are we exporting more to Mexico than Mexico does? So,
well, you know,
these are three pictures you're talking about.
Canada is not a large country. I think it's 80 million or something, and we're a larger
population,
country.
yes,
by population.
By world economy, it is still.
It's a vibrant economy. It's closer to socialism than it is to free enterprise in many ways, particularly in their healthcare industry. So I would guess that we export more to Canada than comes in from Canada to us.
And
but
Mexico,
I don't have the numbers.
Mexico, though, probably they do more to us.
Yeah, I'm not positive, but I do know that there's a lot of, for example, Ford Motor Company has said they will not move their one plant now to Mexico that they were planning on. And Trump said, hey, if you move it down there, we're going to charge you to get it back in because we're losing jobs here. I do believe I want our people to be working. We have 95 million people that should be in a workforce that aren't working. Like, you know, 5 out of 6 families have very challenging income situations
That
now.
probably make more sense. That more makes sense than a single way talking about trade. Like I export from to your market and you export to my market, like something like that, right? Okay, now, how about let's let the differences remain on this one. Back to the show. Today, once again, we're talking about the 100-day plan of Donald Trump, President-elect. It is such a plan that I take lots of time studying and found some references, either back up his plan or back up my disagreement.
Yes.
Right. And with me is my good friend, Ken Hemming. Oh, by the way, this is the beauty of a democracy, right?
Discourse.
You're supposed to say what you want to say,
right?
And well, like same here. I may not agree with you, but I will protect you. I would fight for your right of speaking up.
Right.
Right. Very good. Same thing. Let's be fair to Donald Trump, and plus he's the president. He's the one so far. And yet, it is, even if you had a better choice, it's still too late. Anyway,
I hope it's too late.
Let's stick to him.
Right.
On his domestic labor protection plan, which is in which he vows to say that he will protect American workers. Right.
Yes.
Second, on this issue, on this group, he says, I will announce our withdrawal from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, namely TPP.
Right.
Right. Once again, my question, why withdraw?
Well, he thinks it has been extremely disadvantageous to the United States of America. And at different points in time, Hillary said, oh, it's the gold standard, I love it so much. And then when his opinion became more popular that it was not a wise agreement for us to be in its current state, then she all of a sudden switched over to be against it. So, and also I believe without question, had she been elected, she would have been for it again. So I'm not an expert on the plan, but there's several countries that are in it, 11 or 13, something like that. And we seem to be at a pretty strong disadvantage for American workers as opposed to the economies and workers of other countries. And so, you know, this whole thing, Mr. Trump, you know, good, bad, or indifferent, and I support him completely, is a negotiator. And if he thinks that prior negotiations between America and other countries on planet Earth have not been in the best interest of America, he's going to try to rectify that.
Thank you for
and
analyzing.
I think that's a pure
Thank you
thought.
for analyzing. Thank you for sharing. This once again reminds me about his last summer speech at the National Center.
Yes.
Right? And he says the Americans should learn to walk away from negotiation.
Absolutely.
Which made a good point that I support. On this issue, though, you're not simply walking away from negotiation for the purpose of walking away. You're walking away because there's something there that causes you or push you or force you to walk away. On this TPP thing, on the previous discussion, NAFTA thing,
yes,
there's nothing in particular, especially when you lay down a plan, right? For example, if I were him, I would say, for that, I would walk away. For that, I will ask United States, I will make United States withdraw, right? Something like that. And he simply says, I will announce my intention to withdraw from TPP.
correct. And which is another way, the same thing of getting their attention. He wants it to be redrafted in certain ways that give America a stronger position than he perceives in his staff that we have now.
Yeah,
and I'm
know.
all for that.
He might have a position, he might have even a strong position. However, what is the position? Right?
Well, that's
Okay.
what
And
will be.
what points or what elements the position focuses on.
The strength of America's workers to have their jobs, to make a decent living, and not be disadvantaged by terms of the agreement which send jobs overseas and take away the strength of our economy. And we're going to have a lot more jobs.
I'm not giving credit to TPP.
Yeah, right.
I'm not giving credit to NAFTA.
And I'm not either. Right.
I'm not
either
giving
way.
credit to either of them.
Right.
I'm only talking about logic.
Well, he's putting the world on notice that there's a new sheriff in town, okay? It's not Barack Obama anymore, who really was not a pro-business person. He was
And
not a pro-economy person for America.
I doubt he makes an announcement for the purpose of announcing that I will do things differently.
Well,
only because it is me, Donald Trump.
He is not representing Donald Trump.
Does he have
he
to
is
say,
representing.
Does he have to say why? Right?
Well, of course he does, and he will, and it'll all come out. And he has said why many times.
He may say withdraw from TPP because we're not getting a fair share of the TPP partnership.
And he has a vision as to how it would like to be redirected to where we have a stronger position. And also, though, I just do want to say, everybody thinks Donald Trump. He is the voice of the American people that voted him in now. He is representing the common people of America, and I like that. And I think you do too.
All right, okay. Now, let's do not go back to page 1. All right, we're on page 3, 4 already.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so on page 3, 4, we are analyzing his word by word of the 100-day plan.
Yeah.
To make sure they are solid plans.
Right.
However, we are not only discussing ourselves, we are making it vocal, making it vibrant,
Yes.
to let the community be aware that there is still a suspicion about it. There are still questions about it, right? So I believe if we raise enough questions about the plans, the plan only becomes stronger.
No, that's
Right?
fine. Yeah.
To be even sometime amended,
Sure.
to be rewritten, to be revised,
Right.
to be improved. There is always a chance, right?
Evolution.
Evolution. I believe there's nobody will totally agree with a 100-day plan, word by word.
Sure.
And there is always things like that.
Sure.
Once again, we're not giving credit to either TPP or NAFTA or even SAFTA that I created myself.
Right. No, I like that. I like
Yeah?
that. I do.
So if I were the president-elected, I would say I will take a serious look into TPP. Excuse me. Sorry for that. Oh my God, this thing is killing me.
Slide it right like you're good.
Yeah. Action. Into TPP, into NAFTA, into whatever. See if America gets the most benefit or gets a fair share.
Right.
Something like that.
There's
Rather
things
than
in,
doing this.
and we've discussed too, there's things in here I disagree with also, but for certain reasons, but the whole concept of strengthening America.
Be rest assured there are many points that I do agree.
Yeah.
But these are the ones that I do not agree, right? So, and you do not have to be in agreement with me.
Right.
But I just want to do it for the purpose of speaking out to let my audiences hear
Know
about it.
what you
right?
think, yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you for that. My dear audiences, today with me is my friend Ken Hemming. He is a political commentator, and he is a trustworthy friend for the community too. We will take a very short moment out. When we come back, we'll continue from exactly here. Hello, my dear folks. Welcome back to the East-West Show, exclusively sponsored by Paul Bottinelli, an internationally renowned brand name for men's suit, such as the jacket I happen to be wearing. Not only is colorful, as Thanksgiving color, but the workmanship and everything is, I would say, one of a kind.
Beautiful.
Right? So, Paul, thank you for sponsoring. Back to the show. We're talking about Donald Trump's 100-day plan. The plan itself, well, I would say majority of the points make lots of sense to me. The more I study, the more I find out, yeah, this gentleman is serious, all right? Or at least his team is serious. And no longer an entertainer, no longer a joker. And he is really thinking.
It's our life.
That doesn't mean I'm fully in support with him, because there are points that I do not agree, and there are points that I strongly do not agree. So with me today is my good friend Ken Hemming. We're sharing issue by issue, plan by plan with him. And like I said in the very beginning, There's no hurry. We'll take our time, meander. We'll take our time, milking even to see if there's anything needs to be seen or seen.
Better comprehension for all of us.
Oh, very good. Everything needs to be seen or seen.
Yes,
right. Now,
that's right.
To the next plan, he says, I will direct my Secretary of Treasury to label China a currency manipulator.
Correct.
Your take?
Well, when countries like China and Japan have both periodically changed the rate of as related to the American dollar, okay? And when you manipulate, manipulate's just a word. It means using using the translation of rates of money to other money is a form of giving you more advantage or less advantage in the cost it is to put it into America. So Japan's economy has had big challenges. China's economy is growing at a lower rate. And so that helps both of those countries. And I don't know about the other 200 countries on planet Earth, what they're doing or not. But I think it's a fair statement, and because we don't change the rates with the dollar, we let it flow, and others then maybe do manipulate or change their rates for business advantageous purposes. And so everybody already knows that the rates are being changed by China. So I don't think it accomplishes anything to declare them a manipulator, because it's common knowledge.
All right, I'll let you speak.
Yeah, now I want to hear you.
To the extent.
Yeah, right.
To the most extent.
Now
Are you done? Are you done? Okay, you're done, right?
Yes.
Okay, now, let me ask you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, anything wrong for a country to adopt anything to protect its own currency? Number one question. Question number two, who doesn't do that? Number three,
a lot of people.
What's your comment about dollars? And well, who monopolized the currency market, if not United States dollars?
Well, it's the most stable currency on planet Earth.
Number five, why something dollar can do, RMB cannot. I'm not speaking of that because I have a Chinese origin.
Sure.
I'm a sworn-in American already, right?
Yes, sir, and I'm proud of you.
It is my country.
Yes, sir.
It is my dollar.
I love it. It's your dollar.
I'm very sorry, my dollar does the same thing.
No, it doesn't.
We monopolize the currency market. We monopolize all the financial market.
The American dollar is sort of the standard
when gold is kicked
value.
away, when gold is kicked away from the financial market, who plays the king?
Well, there's different
Why
players.
a king could be only played by my dollar rather than RMB, their RMB or their Japanese yen. And then we were a minute ago talking about a competition. Let the economy system compete. If rest of the world like RMB or they prefer Japanese yen, let them get Japanese yen. Let Japanese yen be the king. Let RMB be the king, or Mexican pesos be the king.
But they can't be, because we have the strongest economy, the largest economy.
Only you say that. Only you say
that's not true.
Time would prove.
That's just a simple fact.
Time would change. Right?
And
someday, somehow, the Martian currencies will probably play the king.
Well, you know, America has a right to respond to manipulation that makes it easier to sell products in America than it would on fair trade.
I agree with you most to the extent. For this, on this one, I would say here's just acting as a muscle guy.
Do you believe Chinese manipulates its currency for business advantages in exporting?
Of course, China does.
Okay, so then
and so does everybody.
Well, that's no.
So does everybody,
don't.
including my dollar.
Yeah,
including my country. All right.
Okay.
So a game when everybody can play, why not China?
Well, I think China's the leader in that because they have a huge economy.
Let's be a proud leader. Let's be a proud leader. What's wrong with that? Okay.
Well, I'm not sure proud's the right word, but that's fine.
No nation doesn't do anything, doesn't do to fight for its own currency, to fight for its own finance, to fight for its financial market.
See, it's not fighting for its currency in there, it's fighting for advantages.
And world stability, right?
Well, okay. I don't think it adds to stability. I don't think it adds to stability.
Okay, now, back to dollar though.
Yeah.
Who monopolizes the world currency market, financial market?
Well, the basic stability of currency on planet Earth is the U.S. dollar. Because there's a lot of
especially when gold is kicked out.
Right, which I do miss this gold standard.
Oh, I do too.
I do.
I do too, right? So instead of a gold centered, now we call it a U.S. dollar centered.
Just international flow of
money.
money.
Why can't it be U.S. dollar centered and it can't be RMB centered?
Well, see, one thing America I think has done very poorly.
Monopolization.
No, but has been printing money. America has been printing money foolishly.
I do not agree. Yeah, you're right.
And that's why we have our 20 trillion in debt.
Okay.
So it's been loose in printing money, thinking that, well, that will solve all the problems. And it really creates more problems.
Exactly. All right, exactly. Now, when I first came, that was 32 years ago, right?
Thank you for coming.
Yeah. And a cigarette costs $1.29.
Oh my God, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And a stamp, 18 cents.
Yeah.
Gasoline, 96.
Right.
If you want to go the best kind is $1.06, something like that.
When I was 16 years old, I paid 32 cents a gallon.
Now you're in, all right. Now,
I did.
With the inflation, who bears the result as a consequence?
Well,
the world market.
Yeah, it's a race between increased income and increased inflation costs.
Exactly.
And sometimes the workers have won, and sometimes we're losing. We're losing now.
When justification or re-justification is necessary or called, the nation is their own freedom to do it. As how it will influence the rest of the folks, that's the second issue, right? Why we can do it, why not China? That's unfair. Well, a while ago we were talking about international market fairness, right? So why not fair?
Well, I don't really comprehend exactly what you're saying right now.
Of course. And thank you for your generous minded. Let me go this time.
Right, absolutely.
Let me go easy.
And proud of you for it.
All right, very good. Thank you very much. My dear audience, with Cam, I'm having a good time. And I'm not speaking on behalf of China. I don't even qualify, because I'm not a Chinese, right? So I just want to make it sure that we are on the fair ground to talk about it, right? So stay with us. We'll be right back, please. Hello, my dear folks. Welcome back to the show, the East-West show from East to West, exclusively sponsored by Paul Bottani, an internationally renowned name brand for men's suit. And I happen to be wearing one of the jackets. Look at the color. Look how I look, right? Yeah, I look even, well, I could look even better if I did not have the bad flu.
Yeah.
I was caught by, I'm still caught, I'm still in the bad flu, and I hope that the camera will not transmit it, but Ken probably will be benefited.
You know, this is nice. You look better than you feel, and that's a compliment.
Very good.
A good compliment.
Oh, thank you. That's a very nice one.
Yeah.
Yes, with Cam, we are talking about the 100-day plan of President-elect Donald Trump. It is a good plan. It is a plan that makes lots of sense. There are certain areas I disagree, and there are even certain areas that I strongly disagree. In addition to that, let's once again say, let differences remain, right? Let's move on forward.
And time will tell.
Yeah, time will tell.
Right.
Now, on the fourth of his protect domestic workers group, he says, I will direct the Secretary of Commerce and U.S. Trade Representative to identify all foreign trade abuses that unfairly impact American workers and direct them to use every tool under American and international law to end those abuses immediately.
Yeah. You know, one thing else, may I say one?
Go ahead.
There's one, I think I've read the dictionary and I've studied words, and fair is one of the words that I think shouldn't even be in our vocabularies, because it's always subjective to one's own vision of what's fair, and it's never objective without preference to your own opinion. So, and not your own, but a person's own. So when this says to identify all foreign trading abuses that unfairly, you know, it's all one person's opinion or one group of people's opinion. So I don't like the word, but I do think if we are disadvantaged, our workers, by certain elements of abuses, abuses means it's something being done contrary to an agreed upon agreement. So to identify, see, right now I think a lot of abuses or the failure to perform under the terms of certain existing contracts and trade agreements is just being ignored by our country. And I think if we identify them, I think that's really good. You identify the abuse, and then whether it's fair or unfair, try to make our partners perform more closely to the terms of the agreement, and not just be soft and, okay, they're doing that, but so what? But it's time to react on behalf of our own interest in these agreements. So,
right.
and on the converse, if we're doing something that's not in conformity with trade agreements we're in, we should stop that also.
I do not disagree.
Yeah.
I do not disagree. In addition, I found out that this whole clause, this whole number 4 from here to here,
Yes, sir.
sounds universal.
Right, both ways.
Sounds
Yeah.
very neutral, right?
Yeah.
It can be a speech or statement made by Premier of Canada,
Absolutely correct.
right?
Yeah.
Or from anybody like a President of Mexico,
Right.
or President of China.
Yeah.
President of China may say, I will direct the Secretary of Commerce of China, trade representative, to identify all foreign trade abuses that unfairly impact China.
And I would agree with
Something
that.
like that.
I would agree with
Now,
that too.
This in general doesn't
Yeah.
work. Doesn't apply to anywhere. It is a very, very general, very logic, very right, and doesn't have to be there, and doesn't help with his 100-day plan. It's not a plan at all.
Well, I think when we become aware of the existence of abuses of trade agreements
Yes.
existing,
Yes,
that we
unless-
should make each other
Unless,
appropriately follow the rules agreed
yes,
upon.
unless. For example, other time when he says about national defense of the American allies,
Okay.
and he says that they are not even paying 24% of their national defense.
Well, like
and
in
we put up with the rest of it.
Yeah.
That's unfair. Using that specific example
Yeah.
with XYZ numbers, be it right, be it wrong, logically, he is okay.
the NATO agreement says what each country should be contributing to the NATO funds that have a purpose for existing and self-protection of each other. And several of the countries don't even pay a penny, and we do, and we are committed to protecting them. Now, that is not right. I don't care about fair.
He is right on this one.
They should pay up
Only
or
he
shut
does
up.
the same way when he analyzes NATO. For example, the let's say somebody dumping watches into the United States. to Walmart.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And our watch on average costs $20 per piece.
Sure.
They're doing it at $5 per, dumping tons of watches into American market. So I would have who and who investigate, go into it and find out, and then we'll apply an anti-dumping tariff.
Right, but now that's outside of NATO.
No. I'm talking about his trade plan.
Yeah.
I just happen to mention NATO. I mean,
yeah,
if
that's
only
right.
he is only right
Yeah.
if he does his trade plan
Right.
with the same method when he criticizes NATO plan. Am I right? Okay, now.
Okay, same method, but it's different, unrelated activities.
By methodology, I'm recommending him a better way to express it. Right? Only a better way, he was saying that well, let's do the anti-dumping tariff on Chinese watches, for example, or a Mexican shoes, all right? If Canadian gloves or something.
Right.
Like that.
Other
than that,
if they're not the original, like Gucci or things like that, Louis Vuitton, because there's some great fakes out there that people look at, and you have to be an expert to know it's not the real thing.
Yeah, you're right.
So you just want to have, you want it to be. If you want to advertise it as fake, that's fine. But to try to put it off as something real is a problem.
That's totally another area. You're talking about copyright pirates,
right?
They make Gucci's, they make Chanel, they make whatever more real than real.
Right. No, I know. Some are really good. Yeah.
That's a different story.
Right.
That's a different story.
Yeah.
I'm talking about as far as the methodology is concerned, he would have a better position if he say something more concrete.
I think in common words, he's just saying that everybody that's a member of agreements should perform with focus and adherence to the terms of the agreement. And when people just don't do that, he's calling them out on it. And America's been quiet on it, just kind of because we're large and we've just absorbed the abuses. And now he says, I don't think that's right. Let's correct the abuses.
Yeah,
that's reasonable.
To be fair with him, though, if you recall Obama, his first term, there is always a saying that, okay, let's see how much a mess he has inherited from George Bush,
right.
And give him time, right? Now, of course, proven to be right or wrong, well, let's just put it aside.
Right.
Now is the moment for him, a builder, a developer, or whatever, to get into the political field, to give him such a huge task, though.
It's huge.
Yeah, he might not catch up at day one. Right?
Nothing is day one.
Yeah, he might not be able to catch up everything.
Executive
even
orders
to those areas that I
be
strongly disagree, though.
Right.
He might later come up with better ideas.
That's right, because that's the way it
goes. There might be a chance that one of his aide or even himself watched the Jack Chow show. Hey, yeah, Jack's a good guy.
Right.
Right? And he did say something that makes sense. And of course, even though he buys Cam more, well,
See, a lot of people don't believe that Donald Trump listens to people, but I do believe he listens to people. His company didn't come about as a large company, which it is, because he was a dictator. He surrounds himself. This is what our hope is. He surrounds ourselves with quality people.
I don't want to label him, give a definition about who he is. I am talking about me loving America.
Right.
I have to love the president our voters has chosen so far, right?
Yes, sir.
And then, luckily, we chose him, or unluckily, we chose him already. Either way, I don't care because that's the result. Right. You got to say, hey, I support you. That's it. You recall how strongly I was going against him for the past year.
You certainly were.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
I was.
And we had great conversations.
Now I don't because I know by Constitution he is the one.
Yeah. And the people spoke,
plus,
and you're one of the people.
I have seen something that awakens me, so I started to see more light.
Right.
Even though I still want to exercise my right to speak up.
Of course.
And so do you.
Right.
So does everybody. My dear audience, we're over time, but I believe it is worth it. With me is my good friend, Mr. Ken Hamming, a wonderful writer, wonderful philosopher, and I like his book a lot. Life is simple, 100 words to live by.
Thank you.
Yes, true, and the extreme truth, life is, matter of fact, simple. Only villains make it
That's right.
difficult, right?
It's all preparation.
All right. So thank you for watching, and to my friend. Oh, this is not the only show. This is the third one. There are going to be number 4, number 5, at least number 6, I believe, judging by the length. Right. So thank you. We'll be back next time. All right. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you, Jack.